Hey everybody, it's Scott with Scotty's Hobbies. Welcome back to my channel. I've run into some fitment issues that I want to kind of clean up a little bit. So what I decided to do is hardwire my receiver. So this is my Spektrum receiver case, okay? And this is the actual receiver with the antenna. This used to be in this case, okay? So this is a lot thicker than this little thin board. So here's what we got to do. We got to unpin the board. So this is a 5-channel, and if you can see right here, there's 3 channels right here. I've already taken out 2, and the way we do that, it's not easy on these because they're already pinned and soldered. But what we can do is we can lift these plastic guides or separators. We lift each one of those, and then we take these 0 cuts, and then we cut underneath the plastic on each one. And then once we do that, we heat with our soldering gun. And then what works pretty good is just pushing them out with a toothpick. Now, you do got to have a good soldering gun, and this is the only one I recommend. If you can see, this is a TS100. I got a couple of versions of this. This thing is an awesome soldering gun. It's got a real fine point on it. And if you want to look like a pro when you solder, then this is one of the first ways to do it. Now, the reason why I come up with this, I didn't come up with this idea, but the reason why I thought about this is because this is how our receivers come when we do racing drones. They don't come like this with a case on them. We order them in a micro. They're actually even smaller than this. So we order them in a micro, and they'll have the antenna on them or 2 or whatever. They won't have any pins. They'll have pins where you can pin it if you want to, and the pins just allow you to put this type of plug on it right here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the plug off. So when you look at this, this board, on the far outside is your ground. So the board be like this, and it tells you on the receiver itself that you got ground, positive, and then signal. So we know on this board, the furthest one that way is ground, the middle one will be your power, and then the furthest one in is your signal. So just like wiring up this motor controller right here, this is my wire from my ESC. So that white is going to be my signal, the red will be my power, and the black will be my ground. Now for my steering servo, it's a little bit different. It's got 2 black wires and 1 white wire, or black and white. The black and white wire is the signal, the middle one is the ground, and this far outside one is the voltage. The reason why I know that is because we've got the adapter, wherever it is, it plugs into that and transfers over the voltage, and then you can kind of see I've got here it is right here. So this is the original plug, okay? So this plug will have black and red will go on these 2, and then only the black and white will go to my receiver. Now here's the kicker on this one. I'm also got this rig set up for 3S. So I can't run my ramp crab servo on 3S. It can only run on 2S. And technically it only runs on 1 cell. So with this plug, this is the plug that came with it. You can see we've got a red and a black and a white. A signal, a power, and a ground. So for me to run 3S on this, I have to make an adapter, which I did, which allows me to adapt a larger battery balance plug. Okay, this is for 3S, so it's an adapter I made. But this will plug in to this like so. Okay, and then you'll just plug this into your 3S balance plug. Now what I did is I cut all the wires out except for two. I left the voltage wire and the common wire in there. You got to make sure your voltage wire will be your first wire, your red wire, and the last one in your series will be your common or your ground. So like on this battery right here, you can see we've got red wire here. This is going to be a cell and a ground. So that's voltage, 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 common. So if I was going to hook my servo to this, I would get a plug like this, eliminate the two middle plugs, and I would go from there to there. And then I would adapt it down to the normal plug to the servo. Now, a lot of people ain't going to do that, but I like that servo having its own power like that because I can run a separate battery on it if I want to, a real small battery, say like this one. This is a real small battery, so I can plug it up just to that servo. But here's the trick. You have to own the receiver wherever you put your signal wire in, which this was the original signal wire for the receiver. You got to add a ground. Otherwise, you won't have a common ground between your motor, ESC, and your receiver, and you'll have power to go forward and backwards, but you won't have any power to steer because the only thing your servo will have is 24 volts. But if you share a ground, I'm going to show you this because it's easier, but if you share a ground in your receiver, so you got your common, your power, and your signal, and so you got steering, you got your steering, and you got your throttle. But right here, normally on this servo, only one wire would be on steering, and it would only be the signal wire because the common and the voltage comes from the balance port of the 2S battery. However, if you don't add a common to this to go over to your servo, it won't work. But it's as simple as that, just adding that one wire. So I took the box out, I'm gonna unpin all this, and basically what I do is I raise it up, I undercut it, I heat each one out, and I poke them out, and then what I'll do is I'll individually put each wire in there that I want soldered in, and then I'll heat shrink the whole thing, and then I can put it in a smaller space. Like I can put it in a space the size of the bottom of this instead of the whole thing. So I wish you could order this, and you may can, order these receivers without the case and without the pins. That would be nice because all you'd end up with is board and you can start off from scratch. I'm going to unpin this kind of off camera, and then I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. Okay, real quick, I'm going to show you what it looks like of me cutting these off, just in case someone is not 100% clear. Now, I'm looking through a magnifying glass, but we're just going to cut each one. 1, 2, 3, and now we're flush. We're going to do this one more time. 1. Get in there. 2, 3. The reason why we do that, it's hard to unsweat all three at the same time, which is what you have to do to unpin it. You have to get your board really hot to do that. I don't need the pins anymore, and if I do, I can buy them. It's not a big deal. And for me, I will just now I will heat each one of these solder joints up individually, and then I will push them out with toothpick. Now, the thing about this is I'll heat shrink this, and I've got my binding button right here. Let's see if I can point to this. That's my bind button right there. So typically what I'll do is I'll leave that open, but you can push that button through your heat shrink as long as you know where it is. The downside of that is if you want to add something, I got 5 channels on this receiver, and technically you only use 2, one for steering, one for throttle, but if you want to add lights or whatever, you can add others to it. And if I want to do that, then I got to cut the heat shrink off, and I actually have to solder wires in each hole to do that. It's not a big deal to me, but just put this somewhere where it's easy to get to if you know you're going to expand. Anyway, I'm going to pause the video again, and I'm going to dress this up. Okay, so I got everything unpinned, and this is basically what the board looks like with the pins out. And then I use this to hold the board, and then I have a lighted magnifying glass to make it easier to see. So now what I'll do is we've got signal, voltage, and then common out here. And so now what I'll do is, you can see on your box here which one is which. Now your first one's going to be your steering here, and then throttle, and then 3 auxiliaries. So I can put my steering in here, which would be, I'm going to put the signal wire here, and I'm going to put 1 ground in it, and then I'm going to solder those in. And then when I do the motor, I'll solder all 3 of the wires in for the wires that go to the ESC. I'll probably get that done, and then we'll talk just a bit more, and then we'll probably be done. So on my servo, I'm going to do these one at a time. So this white one is my signal. So you're going to strip it, and then you're going to pre-tin it, and then you'll heat up the board and poke it through. I'm going to show you how we do that. Okay, so pre-tinning the wire, we're simply just adding a little solder to the tip of the wire that we have exposed. And you don't have to expose very much. I mean, what I've got exposed right there is more than enough. So now we're going to go put this again on the signal side, which is closer to that capacitor there. Now you can use a pair of pliers if you want to do this part. A pair of needle nose pliers. Pretty much whatever it takes to get the job done. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put this wire in from the top. We're just going to turn it over like this. And we're going to take this solder gun. I'm going to clean off my tip first. I don't want that extra solder on there. Okay. So we're going to, if I get this on camera, we'll heat this up right there in that hole. You can see it melt. We're going to poke this through, hopefully. Get in there. We want it to go through. We don't want it like that. So give me 1 second. I'm at the I didn't get that wire twisted up before I tinned it. I should have done that. Okay. Maybe that'll let us get, I don't think it's going to, I'm going to have to restrip that. Let me restrip that wire and then be right back. Okay, so I restripped the wire, but once you do that, you want to twist it. I forgot to do that. So just twist the wire until it makes a nice, until it's all blended together before you tin it. So now I've got that. Let me tin it again. And I'm saying tin like T-I-N, not tint. We're adding solder to the tip of this. Just like that. And then we shouldn't need any more solder. We'll raise this up. And then we'll put this, should just go right in now. I get the angle right on my, trying to do this while I watch on camera and not burn myself, and make it where you can still see. Oops, sorry. It's not hard to do. It's just hard to make it look right on camera. I got to get that wire through there more. It needs to go all the way down to the insulation. And that wire gets hot really fast, so you don't want to do it by hand too much. Man, just go through. Try to do it from the back side. There we go. Now I went down in there. I'm not obviously going to do all three on camera because it's too hard to do. So, but I'm going to show you. So here is the. Let me back this up just a little bit. So here's the original plug where this used to plug into. And so we got our sensing wire, which is this wire. And then we got our red and our black. Now I already had this wire soldered to the ground. That's why it's got that bit of solder on there. But I'm going to be taking this plug off right here. I'm going to be cutting these wires. And then I'm going to wire this common to this common and to this common. And then that'll go into my this balance port with the adapter and everything. Anyway, I'm going to let that conclude the video. That's something I just kind of wanted to talk about. If you're really trying to do a custom build and you really want everything small, you can do that with your ESC. You can do that with anything that's got a plastic case on it. If you don't want the weight of the case and you don't want the dimension of the case, this is a lot smaller. It's a little bit of trouble, you know, to do it, but this is a way thinner, you know, piece of equipment that's inside the truck versus that big plastic thing. And on these little rigs, sometimes that matters. So anyway, thanks for coming by Scotty's Hobbies. I'm gonna finish getting this soldered in. I'll do the motor as well, which is just a signal wire for the motor. Now, all three wires for the ESC will go in soldered in just like that. One for the servo will be, and then one ground, but the ground will piggyback with the servo and also go to the battery on the balance port. Y'all have a good one.